What is up, YouTube? It is your designated Blackwing player here to show you guys an amazing deck profile, in-depth deck profile of the deck that helped me win at my locals. I've been experimenting with this deck. I've been playing around with this deck for pretty much the majority of my times at local this year. I am definitely new. Well, not new to the local scene. I've been to locals in the past, but I felt like last year, along with this year, is the most serious I've been taking the locals, actually trying to improve and trying to make a deck overall better. In my personal opinion, I think this is the best version of Blackwings anybody could potentially play for reasons that you'll have to figure out in the video. Watch the video all the way through so you can get a decent, strong grasp of the deck itself. Because I think this is probably Blackwing's best build yet. Also, please keep in mind that the video is going to be super layered. So guys, grab your chips, popcorn, kick back, relax. This is gonna be a full breakdown of Yu-Gi-Oh content, the thing that we all love and enjoy. So hopefully you guys enjoy it too. I'm really passionate about the deck. I love this archetype. This is the archetype that even made me consider playing Yu-Gi-Oh at any type of competitive level. Back in the day, I was never really into Yu-Gi-Oh, especially when the game first started or whatever. There was nothing that really pulled me in, if that made sense. But this right here has pulled me in. Blackwings has always been that catalyst for me to want to just become a better player within the game space. But okay, guys, I'm chatting too much. I'm talking. We got to get this video rolling, okay? So basically, we're gonna obviously start off with the main deck right here. I'm running a build of this is definitely more than 40 cards. Hold on, let me give it a little head count again real quick, because this deck went through a lot of evolutions. I tried to have it stick to 40 cards, but over time, I just felt like this was the right amount. So hold on, let me just do another head count. So this is one. Okay, no. It's still at 45. So the deck is still at 45 cards. So I haven't altered from that number, because this deck has gone from 40 to 42 to obviously now 45. But okay, guys, let's do this thing. So let's hit these monsters. Let's hit the monsters. So if you are a Blackwing player of any type or variation of Blackwing, then obviously you guys should know the majority of these cards, but I'll go over them for anybody that's just looking to pick up the Blackwing deck or pick up and play the Blackwing deck in this particular version. Because I know people predominantly either do Synchro, they may do Exceed, or they even may throw in a couple of links in there. But alright, everything is going to get explained. I got you guys. So we do 3 Samoon. Samoon, super self-explanatory. This is brain dead stuff. For the most part, when it comes to Samoon, this is your combo starter for the most part. This is the card that helps you get a Black Whirlwind from deck. You can instantly play it, and then on top of that, this card is a normal summon, so it's a free normal summon. So activate it from hands when you control no other monsters on field. You can activate this card from hand. Pretty much, you get to set the Black Whirlwind, and you get a choice of dumping this card or potentially normal summoning it. I've never had a situation where I felt like I needed to dump this card outside of maybe a chain block. But for the most part, it's just you always want to normal summon this card. Once you normal summon this card, then that's when kind of a lot of your shenanigans start with just this one card and Black Whirlwind alone. So 3 of this is super important. You want to see this card in your opening hand, but it's not mandatory. You don't need to see it, but it's good to have it in your opening hand. So that's first card. So next we have 2 Usters. Now, Uster is one of those cards that's just potentially an extender, because when you normal summon Uster, whether it's from the effect... Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. So Samoon also give you the following effect of when you get an additional normal summon when you activate the effect of Samoon. So please keep that in mind. So back to Uster. Uster is just an extender for the most part. Like, you normal summon this card, and you're able to pretty much special summon a level 4 or lower Blackwing monster from Banish Zone to field. So pretty much it helps with different shenanigans, whether you want to exceed with the card or even if you want to synchro with the card. It really does help you just solidify some sort of like board. It helps you get out at least one of your go-to monsters. Like, most of the time when I have Uster, I go into Ystrix, or like if I have the opportunity to, I can either go into like a full armor master or even like a Boreload Savage Dragon. So 2 Usters. Next is Gust the Backblast. You play Gust at 3. When it comes to Gust, for the most part, like I think this is another amazing card when it comes to just having him in hand early in game or for your first turn, because basically you can bait out a lot of stuff with Uster some of the time. So like, for the most part, like, Uster is a free special summon if you control no cards at all on the field. On top of that, if you have Uster and Simoon, potentially what you could do with Uster and Simoon, you could banish the Uster, right? Activate Simoon's effect, play Black Whirlwind, normal summon Simoon, activate Black Whirlwind effect. You get Uster to deck to hand. You can normal summon Uster. Uster, if this activation is successful, you can bring back Gust, and then you could just start your combos from basically right there. So Gust is actually a good fodder card, along with being a good card opening hand. Later game, depending on the situation, Uster becomes a bit of a more complicated card when it comes to just what's the best way to utilize him in certain turns. But we'll talk about that when we get into like the test hand option. So for the most part, like, I run 3 Gust the Black Blast. I said Uster, my god. Gust. Okay, Uster just in my head for some reason. Next card, self-explanatory, Bora the Spear. He's just his own extender. Just a card that you have in the deck that you get able to special summon. He's not necessarily anything super important or super crazy. He's just one of those cards that just, like, he's a free special summon if you control a Blackwing monster. And because this is a Blackwing deck, easy. 3 Gales, same ideology around Bora. The same thing applies with Gale. This card right here is just a free card for you guys, just so that you can get into your Link plays, you can get into your Exceed plays. No, we don't run any level or rank 3 Exceed monsters, but you mostly are using Gale for your not Exceed, my fault. You're using Gale for your synchro plays, and you're using Gale for your Link plays for the most part. And you want to run 3 because, mind you got to remember, like, these special summon effects are not once per turn. So as long as you control another Blackwing monster, you can special summon as much Boras and as much Gale as your hand has. So if you have Gale in your hand, you normal summon Gale and you have 2 Boras, you can special summon both Boras. If the situation was reversed and you have normal summon Bora and you have 2 Gales, you can special summon the 2 Gales. So again, a great just extender in general. So Chris is similar to Bora and Chris, but with a bit of a restriction to its special summoning, because you can only special summon this card once per turn. So if you have multiple Chris, you can only special summon 1 Chris. The other one, you need to normal summon it. It's mandatory. But the only reason I run 3 Chris's is because, like, again, this is a Blackwing deck. So the more Blackwings you have, the more easier it would be for you to just combo and special summon cards out the way, just to start up your combo. So let's say, for instance, like, there hasn't been much situations where I get 2 Chris's, but because of the ratios of us having 3 Gales and 3 Boras, even if we have 2, I never draw 3 Chris's, but if we have 2 Chris's in hand, you can normal summon 1. If you have Gale or if Bora in hand, you could special summon Bora or Gale, then you can special summon your another Chris. So in situations like that, it's not bad to have 3 Chris's, because this is another card you definitely do want to see. But for the most part, like, I've never seen any individual that unlucky to draw all 3. I haven't been that unlucky to draw 3 Chris's, but you definitely want Chris. And these next few Blackwing cards are going to be one-ofs. So for example, obviously you guys already know about Zephros. Decay is one card that I've been messing around with for the most part. And then you have Harmonton, and then you have Orochi. So these are the last of the Blackwing monsters, by the way, too. So these 4 cards specifically, You gotta, okay. So Zephros is a special summon. He's basically extender the card. So for the most part, like you can normal summon this card and combo him off with Chris, Bora, Gale. Even if you want to, you can honestly combo him off with Samoon, depending on the situation. But this card is really good. On top of, like, it revives itself. So like if you have a Blackwing monster on board, pretty much you can bounce that card back to hand to special summon him, and you take 400 damage, and that effect is only once per duel. So you only can use that effect once per the whole entire duel, but most of the time you really only need the effect once. Now that's for Zephros. So these three cards now. So what I've realized about the deck is mostly, like, because I run Savage Dragon in the actual deck, I have no proper way of special summoning. I have no way of really special summoning Uster, because Uster, that particular Blackwing card, the level 4 tuner, it isn't allowed to be special summoned. So it has a similar effect to Blizzard. Blizzard, the Far North. So what I decided to do was I decided to add in Decay as just a generic level 4 Blackwing monster that's just so happens to be a tuner, just so I can get into combos like full Armor Master through special summoning, because you'll see throughout the deck there is an ample of opportunities for you to be able to special summon with the deck itself. So that's why I have Decay. On top of that, like, this effect doesn't hurt too much, but keep in mind the turn that this card is sent to the graveyard, you will take 1,000 damage. Like, you will take 1,000 damage for this card being in the graveyard. On top of that, it's a level modifier. So like Decay is a level modifier. You can increase or decrease the level of the card, and that does come in handy for certain situations depending. So Hermonton is another card that's a level modifier that I would argue that goes great with Decay. So if you control another Blackwing monster, you can special summon it. It's optional to also modify this card's level as well. So this card is a free extender. On top of it, modifies its level for either synchro or rank plays. For link plays, it doesn't necessarily matter if it modifies its level. It's just a good body for a link monster. So you have that. Orochi is similar to Chris. Actually, it's 100% like Chris. So Orochi, for the most part, is just a free body on board. Sometimes the secondary effect of this card, where if you synchro summon using this card, you can change the battle position of one monster on the field. That effect doesn't really pop up all that often in a lot of my duels. I usually use this for either synchro or link fodder. So yeah, these cards, I don't run them at multiple because most of the time I really just need the one. So usually, depending on the situations, if I can give you guys, like, I'll give you guys probably like a few test hands in this video, but for the most part, like, yeah, that's it for Blackwing monsters. Next up is Blackwing Spells, and it's self-explanatory. So for Blackwing Spells, we only use the one Blackwing spell. I don't use Black Back Closed. I only use this one amazing god tier spell, Black Whirlwind. If you guys don't know what Black Whirlwind I'm just really shocked. Normal summon a monster, you basically get to add a Blackwing monster with less attack than the normal summoned monster. That's what this do. None of these cards are once per turn, so you can abuse Black Whirlwind if your opponent doesn't have a Drool and Lockbird. Drool and Lockbird hurts this card tremendously, but it doesn't hurt your strategy for the build that I have for you guys today. So for the build that I have for you guys today, it doesn't hurt your strategy at all. So like, even if you get Drool and Lockbird, trust me, you will still be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You will be 100% fine and 100% able to go into your combos. So alright, we got the 3 Black Whirlwind. It's a must. This card is easy to get. Samoon gets it out. You run 3, so the likelihood of you at least getting 1 is amazing. If you have a Samoon in hand, then that's even more amazing. But Samoon and 1 Black Whirlwind is pretty much game. It is pretty much game. Alright, so guys, so this is where this deck becomes a bit more interesting. I know this is not completely out of range in the sense of what you're probably familiar with, and if you're already seeing the camera, I don't know if you guys can tell what card this is, but we also run the Raid Raptor package within this Blackwing deck as well. So the Raid Raptor package is Raider's Wing, Singing Lanius, Strangle Lanius, and then we have Force. So we play Cyber Dragon Infinity in the deck. You got to be careful because there's a lot of cards in this deck itself that will lock you out of dark monsters from your extra deck or special summoning a dark monster at all. So like you got to be very mindful about that, because this card inherently, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a brick depending, but you got to be very mindful of when you actually activate this card, or when you add this card to hand, or you set this card. So you got to be very careful when this card is being used, because for the most part, this could just be a dead card and you don't have any actual play with it. But what I've noticed is just like, yes, half life points is kind of hefty, but at the end of the day, like it is kind of still beneficial because you get Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Dragon Infinity, it steals your opponent monster, makes it into a material, and then on top of that, it also is a card that negates and gets a boost. So like in attack, each time it sucks up a monster. So Cyber Dragon Infinity is not a bad card. Like out of all the times I play tested with it, I played with and without it. Like I just felt like the card, it is just too good of a card not to keep in. But yes, there are better alternatives, and we'll talk about that a bit later. So we have that. So these cards. So I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Strangle Lanius is probably the only card you want to see in your opening hand, because this is one of the cards I was talking about where this card is a restriction. The first effect of this card is if I control a dark monster, I can special summon this card, but I won't be able to special summon anything except for dark monsters for the rest of my turn. So that doesn't mean anything to us unless we're trying to summon Cyber Dragon Infinity. That effect doesn't mean anything to us. All our cards in our deck are dark monsters. We don't run anything besides dark monsters. So for the most part, like that's fine. On top of like this card is its own extender. So if you have a Exceed monster, okay, if you control an Exceed monster that has an Exceed monster as material, you can basically special summon a Raid Raptor card from graveyard to field. This card is amazing for that play and setup. So these two cards now. I would argue that you might not want to see Singing Lanius turn 1. Raider's Wing is situational, but Singing Lanius turn 1 is probably the hardest card to deal with. This card is a must be at 1. I would argue you can and you are allowed to take this card out for stuff I'm going to explain when we get into the side deck portion of the video. But you are allowed to take this card out just so you can minimize the brick. But this card is just a free extender if you draw into it or if you have combo in hand already. Because basically what you can do is, if you control an Exceed monster, you could just special summon this card. And it's a level 4 monster, so you could just, you can abuse that as much as you potentially want. Raider's Wing, same philosophy, as long as you have an Exceed monster. But this one is a bit more harsher because you need to special summon this with, you have to special summon this card by detaching a material from a dark Exceed monster you control. So that being said, like this is a bit more harsher compared to this, because as long as you control an Exceed monster, you could just special summon this and just go for something, compared to Raider's Wing where you need to have that Exceed monster have material to detach from it, special summon it, and then when this card leaves the field, you got to banish it. So that's another thing too. So for the most part, there's ways to get around having this card become banished, but again, we'll talk about that in the combo section. So that is the Raid Raptor package. And I feel like for the rest of this video, like we're just going to be talking about packages that just work in this deck that makes this deck insane. So now, next up, the super renowned deck, the super renowned crazy engine. I bring you guys the Phantom Boys, the Phantom Boys. So right now we run 2 Phantom Knight monsters, Silent Boots, Ancient Cloak. As you guys know, like obviously these cards are I don't run any more than these 2 specific cards, because these cards for the most part, like you don't ever want to normal summon them, and you don't really want them in your hand. Silent Boots, maybe, but you do not want Ancient Cloak in your hand. These 2 are not viable options in hand at all, so I try to minimize it as much as possible by just having the 1. Yes, you do still get situations where unfortunately you draw them. In the test hands, if there are opportunities to showcase how you can get around it, I will definitely show you guys. But those are just the monsters that we play. Next is going to be the Phantom Knight trap cards. So we play Bardine, and then we play Fogblade. Fogblade is it's an easy setup, especially with Bardiche. Fogblade is an easy setup. Shade, it's easy because we don't run much traps in the deck as is. For the most part, we run like a crazy amount of spells. So for the most part, like these are the only two traps that we really run. So you can just you could set Shade and activate Shade, because the effect of Shade is like when you control or have no trap cards in your graveyard, you can activate the card the turn it was set. So you can literally just set it, activate it. And another great thing about this card is treated as a level 4 monster. So this card can also get you your Exceed plays as well. And then Fogblade is self-explanatory. You can revive a Phantom Knight monster if you just need a body on board, or your Rusty Bardiche gets destroyed. And then of course this card is also a negate, so that's never a bad thing. And then lastly, these spell cards when it comes to Phantom Knight. Phantom Knight Rank Up Magic and the Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Launch. So these three cards, for the most part, I used to run one of each, but then I upped the amount of Magic Force, the Phantom Knight Rank Up Magic Force I had, because I felt like later game I just didn't have enough follow-up options. So for the most part, like when I was playing matches and playing games with just the one each, I was able to execute my game plan, yeah, but obviously you have to have a follow-up. And most of the time, I didn't have a follow-up to either close, depending on the level of the deck I was going up against at the time, or I just didn't have an option to go into anything because most of my resources was depleted and I didn't have any other way to get back into my extra deck. So, yeah, so that's why I run 2 Magic Force, and then the Rank Up Launch is literally for a 1 card, like one of our boss monsters, because this deck has a lot of boss monsters, like a lot of boss monsters. So for the most part, we only really need the one, because we only have that one boss monster. Yes, there's a potential opportunity that this card can get interrupted, but for the most part, like it rarely doesn't. But again, I feel like this is probably the best ratio. The one thing is though, like you just don't want to draw 2 you just don't want to draw 2 of the Phantom Knight Rank Up Magic like that. I feel like that is just nightmare scenario right there. Like you just don't want to draw 2 of them. But because you only have the 2 in a 45 card deck, it's really hard to get both of them in your hand. If you do, that's just some bad luck, bruh. Game 2. That's all I gotta tell you. Just hope and pray for game 2. That's all I gotta say. So now, guys, I am excited to talk about this. Super excited. Because this last engine is actually ridiculous. This card came out in Battle of Chaos. I didn't know this card was actually coming out in Battle of Chaos. There were so many amazing cards that I wanted from Battle of Chaos that kind of like overshadowed some of the other cards within the set, obviously, because, you know, you had the Magician stuff, you had the Blue Eyes stuff. So I didn't really pay attention to how broken this card is in Blackwings. And also, like, in other Wing Beast decks, honestly. So, the card that I'm going to show you guys, the card that's just ridiculous to me, is Samorsh. So, Samorsh is probably the most insane card ever. Insane card, because you open up with this card, you're guaranteed to win. You're guaranteed to solidify your board, your win condition. Nobody can do anything against this card at all. So this card single-handedly blocks hand traps. The only hand traps that it doesn't necessarily block, like this card blocks Ash Blossom. This card basically says F you to Drool and Lockbird. Like, this card protects you from so much stuff. It even helps you through Effect Veiler. It helps you through Imperm. Like, this card helps you through so much. So, basically, to explain what this card basically do is just like, if a wind or a winged beast monster is normal or special summon, you can normal summon this card. So, and then this card has a following effect. So basically, when this card is normal summoned, right? So when you normal summon this card, you can send a Samorsh card. You can send itself too. This is why I run 3. You can send this card as well to the graveyard, and then you can basically wait, hold on. Let me. Am I tripping? Am I explaining this right? Okay. While face up on the field, when this card is also treated as a win attribute monster. That's number 1. That's very important too. You can only use each of the following's effect of Samorsh, Bird of Perfection once per turn. That's true. During your main phase, if you normal or special summon the Winged Beast monster, you can reveal this card. There we go. You can reveal this card in your hand. Immediately after this effect reveals, normal summon one Samorsh monster, aka you will normal summon him, obviously. And when this card is normal summon, you can send one Samorsh. Yes, so you can send one. When this card is normal summon, you can send one Samorsh, aka you can send himself to the graveyard, and then you can add a Samorsh spell or trap card from your deck. And this is where we enter the next follow-up card, and that is the Sacred Land of Samorsh. This card is ridiculous, especially while this card is on field, because you got to remember, this card is treated as a wind monster. So now let's read the Sacred Land of Samorsh effect. Only one effect is relevant in this deck, but depending on what you use this for, it could be hit miss. So all wind monsters on the field gain 300 attack and defense. That's cool and useful, but that's not really the relevant effect. You can I'll read the first effect too. Why not? You can reveal one level 5 or higher wind beast monster in your hand. This turn you can normal summon wind beast monsters for one less tribute, even if this card leaves the field. So you can definitely summon a winged beast monster for one less tribute. That's fine. That's fine. A level 5 or higher, right? You can. This is the important one. If you control a winged beast monster, winged beast monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one winged beast monster. I don't know why I keep saying winged beast monster. So that being said, so right now, basically, you get an additional normal summon. So not only are you normal summoning with Samoon's extra normal summon effect, if you have Bird of Perfection in hand, basically what you can do, normal summon this, dump one to grave, add this, play the Land of Samorsh, then activate effect of Land of Samorsh, normal summon again. So you know how many normal summons you're getting? On top of this card is the perfect level 4. And you'll understand why this card is like the perfect level. But guys, this engine is the reason why this deck right now is literally unstoppable. Because the amount of options that you now have in the deck is ridiculous. Alright, so guys, we're not at 45 cards yet. We have 6 cards to showcase to you guys, and that is right here. So, Caligo Crow, self-explanatory. It's an extender. Call by the Grave, just in case if you go first, a negate. Allure of Darkness, so you can go through your deck. Also, sometimes you could just bait hand traps with this, like, bullshit Allure of Darkness. I'm gonna hand trap it, whatever. And then 2 double summons, because like this whole deck revolves around normal summons anyway, and that's just the way how I built it upon. So it blends well with normal summoning and special summoning. It just really does blend well. So I have 2 double summons. You could do 1. I personally do 2 because like, I'm not saying you want to see it, but there's some situations where like a double summon don't kill you in this deck. So that's it for the main deck. Alright guys, we're going into the extra deck. So I only have 2 synchro monsters. We have Full Armor Master, and then we have Savage Dragon. So for the most part, when it comes to Full Armor Master, like, it's definitely a go-to. Like, I will never remove this card from extra deck. This card is just too amazing. It survives through Nibiru's. It's unaffected by card effect. The only thing is, like, your opponent has to attack over this card. Like, this card is amazing. So it's a mandatory must attack over. And then you have Savage Dragon. So Savage Dragon is super situational. This card, for the most part, I leave it in my deck because there are situations where I do pull out a Savage Dragon if need be. Especially when it comes to like my follow-up plays, I do pull out a Savage Dragon again if need be. So this card is very viable to me in my deck build, especially if I have a Rusty Bardician Grave or even my Wystrix. So I can still get myself 2 negates, 3 negates just off of this one card alone. And again, I'll do 3 test hands. With the 3 test hands, I'll show you guys what will be some of the most optimal plays to actually get out Savage Dragon, or how to get out Savage Dragon for like a follow-up. So there we go. So those are our 2 synchros. I already mentioned the Link monsters. So you only play these 2. I'm actually contemplating adding in that Dark Charmer card for DPE, because that Dark Charmer card, when it goes against heroes, is actually pretty OD. So I might be playing around with that card for a little bit as like a 3rd Link monster within this particular deck build. But yeah, like I said, like that's mostly for if I'm dealing with the DPE, I could just steal the DPE. I'm not going to use the effect, but I'll definitely steal the DPE though. I'll steal the DPE, probably link off with it again for Rusty Bardiche, just so that DPE doesn't get its effect. So those are just one of the cool things that you can do with this deck and that new Dark Charmer card. But Wystrix, self-explanatory. This card is an extender. On top of it, helps you search out your rank up card. So that's really, really good. Rusty Bardiche is same thing. This card is for setup. You can either set this card up with Fog Blade. So you can set the Fog Blade, dump a Phantom Knight card, or you can set Shade and dump a Phantom Knight card. The Phantom Knight card that you dump in the graveyard is going to be the card to help you add one of your other like Phantom Knight rank up cards. Basically, self-explanatory. On top of like this card does also have a cool effect of when you exceed summon a dark monster under one of its link pointers, you can pop a card too. So that's actually pretty dope too. So great. And now we're getting to the exceed portion. So this is new. I started testing this out recently, and it's have been a good decision. I started running 2 Forstrix, and when it comes to the other Raid Raptor monsters, I also have Arsenal Falcon. Arsenal Falcon is an easy card to bring out for the most part because of rank up Magic Force. The Phantom Knight rank up Magic Force, it's easy because when you activate that card, mind you, it's going to lock you to Exceed. So when you activate that card, be very careful. It's going to lock you to Exceeds. But like for the most part, like when it comes to that one rank up card, I can target a Dark Exceed monster I control, banish dark monsters from my graveyard up to the amount for the new Exceed monster I want to summon, and then I can special summon it. So long story short, if I have Forstrix on field, I can banish 3. I can banish 3 dark monsters in my graveyard, and then I can special summon Arsenal Falcon just like that. Easy. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Arsenal Falcon too, if you really want to. And actually, you actually need to, because you need to detach the material from it. So you can detach the material from Arsenal Falcon just to special summon a level 4. I think it is only level 4, right? Yeah, it has to be 1 level 4. So you can special summon 1 level 4 Winged Beast monster from your deck. If you want to, it could be Bird of Perfection, or you can even go for like whatever extender that you want to. Sometimes I go for Zephros just so he could be engraved. So yeah. So these are the Raid Raptor cards I use. So now I guess we'll use the Odd Eyes Exceed Dragons. I'll show you the Exceed Dragons I play next. So you have one. You have, okay, we have Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. We have Dark Requiem Exceed Dragon. And of course, we have Dark Rebellion Exceed Dragon. This card right here, for the most part, is an Omni Negate. So it can consistently negate just monsters. Just monsters. So this card only negates just monsters. But for the most part, like, this card is very, oh my god, like, if I can get this card out, usually, like, there's no time that I lose a duel. On top of, like, this card also revives an Exceed monster from grave. Like, this card is amazing. Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon, though, for the most part, like, this card right here, this card also negates while it has an Exceed monster as material. This card also negates as well. On top of, like, it gets a ridiculous attack boost. This is one of your win conditions for sure. This is definitely one of your win conditions. These two are more so control cards. This lowers the attack of a monster, cuts it in half, and that half attack becomes this card's gained attack. And this card's an Omni Negate. So these cards are more so for control, but this card is for sure your win condition, for sure. Not your only one, but is definitely up there with your win conditions, though. Alright. Next, I didn't know where to place this. Either Raid Raptor or this is a Phantom Knight card. But for the most part, boom, we have Raider's Knight. This card is treated as a... this card is treated as a Phantom Knight and a Raid Raptor card. So for the most part, ooh, Jesus Christ, I almost dropped my cards. But for the most part, this card is phenomenal. This card is amazing. So basically what it says is you can detach a material from this card. What this card pretty much do, you can special summon you can special summon a Raid Raptor or Phantom Knight monster. You can, yeah, it's a Raid Raptor, Phantom Knight, or Exceed Dragon monster from your extra deck, one rank higher or one rank less. So this card right here, it's OD. Like, for the most part, I don't go when I rank up with this card, I only go for Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. I don't play the rank 3 Phantom Knight card because, like, for the most part, that card is a great card, but I don't have Phantom Knights engraved to really warrant the card in deck. And I'm talking about Rusty. Yeah, like, yeah, I'm talking about Rusty. I'm talking about, or Bricks. No, not Rusty. I'm not talking about. I'm saying Bardic. I'm talking about Breaksword. Breaksword, the rank 3 Phantom Knight card, I don't run it. So, and on top of that, like I said, like, I don't have any monsters in my graveyard to warrant the effect. So I always go for Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon, and sometimes that usually, like, that close out the game. I completely forgot about this as well, but you also have Ultimate Falcon. Ultimate Falcon is probably the least used cards. It's justifiable if you want to take this particular card out to add other options into the deck. But for the most part, you never know. Like, hand traps or just heavy negate boards are a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! So worst case scenario, if your core play does get stumped, you still have an Ultimate Falcon that you could lean on. Because what you can do is you can either pop your Arsenal Falcon with a Raid Raptor material on it to special summon Ultimate Falcon. You can link off the Ultimate Falcon. Just so you can get your plays. That's why I'm arguing or I'm debating putting in the Dark Charmer in the deck, because that Dark Charmer is really good, especially against a Dark versus Dark matchup. Next, these are probably the obscure 3. You already heard me mention Cyber Dragon Infinity, but we also have your other 2 win conditions. So we have Zeus, and then we also have Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga is the core card of this deck per se. If you can, you could definitely get this card out turn 1 during your opponent's turn. Keep in mind that this card is absolutely, utterly broken. So for the most part, when it comes to Kali Yuga, even if it leaves the field, the effect still applies. But once this card is summoned, all other face-up card effects on field is negated. So it's negated, it's not destroyed, but it's just negated. So it gets just sent to grave. So that being said, this card is absolutely incredible. And usually on my first turn, I set up Kali Yuga, and then, like, my opponent essentially just can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! So they can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. It basically becomes my turn. Obviously, if I'm dueling up against, like, a Eldritch or a heavy trap deck, don't worry. That doesn't matter at all, because Kali Yuga has a following effect. So basically, it's a quick effect as well. You could detach one material from this card, I believe, and then you could destroy all cards in the back row. If you're going first, your opponent going second, they set up all this back row and stuff like that. Basically, what you can do is just blow up the back row at their end phase. So, Kali Yuga is truly an amazing, amazing card. Guys, like, this card is just insane. Like, this card is crazy. Love this card. Zeus, again, self-explanatory. If an Exceed monsters attacks, I can just special summon Zeus on top of it. If it has 2 or more materials on it, I could detach 2 from it, and then basically I could just send all cards to, like, graveyard. easy, self-explanatory, and I already talked enough about Cyber Dragon Infinity. It's just a card that overall could steal an opponent's card. It boosts its own attack, and it negates spells, traps, and monsters. Like, come on. Like, again, you might not always get the opportunity to play Zeus, because remember, Zeus is a light monster, and you might not always get an opportunity to play Infinity, but when you do, and you know how to set it up properly, trust me, it's a amazing, amazing card. So, guys, that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. I'm going to talk about side deck real quick and side deck philosophy, because believe it or not, like, I have a lot of cards to showcase you, but for right now, I'm going to tell you honorable mentions in the main deck. So if you want to side these extra deck cards in. So these are honorable mentions within the, not main deck, but this is honorable mentions within the extra deck if you guys want to put these cards in. I would argue these two, it's either or. You don't have to have both. You can really do like either or, and it's fine. But Revolution Falcon or Raid, Air Raid, either of these cards is fine, because for the most part, these are just alternative ways for you to get out the Kali Yuga. If the combo structuring is a bit off, these are just alternate ways you can get yourself Kali Yuga, basically. Like your one of your win conditions, one of your 3 win conditions, right? So for the most part, these are just alternative cards. I would honestly say get Revolution Falcon, because when it comes to this card per se, like if you attack a special summon monster from the extra deck, or I think it's just special summon in general, the attack of that monster becomes 0. So basically, you can attack into one of your opponent's special summon monsters. If they don't have a response, or they don't have any type of like battle trap or any follow up, then basically they're taking a clean 2,000 each time with this card. On top of once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half of the attack of that monster. So this card also has a pop effect. So I would say you can definitely lead into Revolution Falcon. Both of these cards are respectively on the cheaper side. So Raid Force, on the other hand, like this card, I like this card a bit more, because sometimes check this out. You can also exceed summon this card by detaching or discarding 1 rank up magic spell card and using a rank 5 or lower Raid Raptor exceed card. So if you let's say your opponent completely stunned you, you have no follow up, you can't really do anything. Basically what you can do is you can still discard one of your rank up cards, and then you can use your Forstrix as a conduit for this card summon, and then pretty much you could just go from there. And this card does have a pop effect as well, but there's one effect of this card that's not really viable, especially if you don't run the Revolution Falcon. When this card is destroyed, you are allowed to special summon your Revolution Falcon if it doesn't get interrupted. But for the most part, I will still argue that you should use one or the other. Also, I don't know where is this card. Like right now, the location of this card just escapes me, but I'm gonna just pair it up with one of the cards that I will argue when it comes to side deck. So right now, it's supposed to be Starving Venom Dragon along with Mud Dragon, but right now I personally feel like this card is ridiculous in the metagame of Yu-Gi-Oh! Super Poly. I would say 3 Super Polys, Mud Dragon, Starving Venom are definitely cards you want to consider putting into your side or into your main deck, especially depending on the opponent. Because if I were you, I would either say take out Zeus, because remember, this whole deck locks you into dark. Mud Dragon, I don't believe Mud Dragon is a dark, but Starving Venom is. So, and mind you too, like you have to keep in mind as well, if you're going second, basically what you can do is you can still pop off with your super polymerization and fuse on your opponent's field, especially if you're going up against like a Shadal deck or something like that. You can fuse using their cards, and you can either get your Starving Venom out depending on the monsters they have, or you can get out the Mud Dragon. So keep that in mind. Amazing card when it comes to swapping in from main deck to side. Alright, so that's pretty much it for options when it comes to the extra deck. Now the side deck. The side deck is always going to be 100% tricky because you got to play your locals. It's not like a regional when you can have a decent idea of the decks that you're going to be playing. But for me, my ideology when it comes to my deck is goddamn overpowered. So I want to get out my combos as clean as possible. So when it comes to side deck, these are the cards I side deck in usually. Whether I go first or second, these are the side cards I side deck most of the time. So, and you'll understand why. Because for the most part, I usually want to go first. So these are the cards I side deck. Hold on. Like I have a whole pack of cards to talk about and explain certain things. Okay. So this is not my entire side deck, but you're going to understand why. So for the most part, out of your whole side deck, these 7 cards for the most part are mandatory because these 3 cards are usually the hand traps that I see in my locals. Depending on the locals you go to, it might be different for everybody, but these are usually the hand traps I see. Crossout Designator is just to help out your call by the grave when it comes to hand traps in general, because as you guys know, and I was mentioning it in the actual main deck reveal, it's that we run mostly extenders. So for the most part, the reason why the deck is 45 cards is because certain cards within the deck itself is not required to play the deck. So you can substitute these cards out for these 7 cards. I know this is 5 right now, but some other 2 cards that I take out, if I completely don't want extenders and I want to focus more so on just protecting my actual board, I sometimes take out Shade Force, and another card I take out is where are you? Another card I take out is right here, boom. So I take out the extra Ancient Cloaks. So basically, I minimize the amount of extenders that I have within my deck. And then I usually just add in my hand traps and add in my crossout designator. If you really want to control if you really want to protect your board, you can even take out Singing Lanius if you really want to, because it won't hurt you to do so. But for the most part, these are usually the 7 cards I take out of deck to add in crossout designator along with some hand traps. And remember, it doesn't hurt you at all, because you got to keep in mind, these cards are hand traps. So for the most part, even if you draw them and you're going second, right? Because obviously you won't know what your opponent's playing until you guys play. So what I usually do is, instead of keeping my extenders in, I would have this for game 1. Depending on what my opponent is playing, I will either opt in for more extenders or I will keep this in, depending on if he's playing a heavy hand trap based deck. So if he's playing a heavy hand trap based deck, these are usually the cards I would just keep in. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in the side deck so far. So now this is where, of course, depending on how competitive or how meta your locals is, these are just some other cards I personally just suggest you think about. Some pricey, some not. So I would say you have Contact C. I would say Dark Ruler No More for going second. And this is only if your opponent forces you to go second. Because if you're going second, then some of these cards do help. And on top of that, Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is an iffy card because unless you have Samoon, I don't recommend you just popping out a Forbidden Droplet. Also, I would argue that maybe 2 is going to be better than actually having 3, because you really don't want to really see this card too often. If you get it, cool, but you don't ever want there to be a situation where you get 2 Forbidden Droplets. So I personally say that 2 is the better ratio. And then, yeah, if you're dueling up against something that's problematic, you can always Harpy's Feather Duster. And lastly, this card is iffy, but because DPE is a thing, I will definitely say you can consider playing Triple Tactic Talents. If a monster or effect is negated, you can basically just snatch steal. There's not a lot of situations where when someone plays DPE, they're also negating as well, so you got to take that into consideration. But you also have to keep in mind too, like you can wait for one of your monsters to potentially be negated, and then you could just wait until the DPE comes out. Because as you guys can probably hear, like I mostly be preparing for like DPEs, but yeah. So for the most part, like it's my side deck usually be a toss up of these cards right here, on top of this is on the newer side, but I also started messing around with Evenly Match. So Evenly Match is just another great card if you're going second. I don't do Nibiru. I don't do Cosmic Cyclone. I would argue that like Nibiru destroys this deck. So all of these cards are just potential options just for control, right? Like you want to put yourself in a position where if you're going second, you can still execute your combo with the most minimal amount of interruptions as possible. But these are your core cards. I will argue if you end up taking out Singing Lanius, then Nibiru needs to be the third or the fifth hand trap that you have that corresponds with your crossout designator. And again, it's in Nibiru, so even if you're going second, it don't really matter because my core, for the most part, whenever I start a game against an opponent, these are the core cards I usually go for. So these are like I usually leave this in deck and I don't side it out until I get a good understanding of what my opponent is playing, and then I just go from there. So, or it could be the opposite. I usually keep my extenders in, and then game 2, then I'll just decide what cards would be the best cards. So right now you're dealing with, these are 8 cards that preoccupy your side deck, and then you have other cards that you could just alternate with. You could definitely alternate with these other cards. So guys, I just literally shuffled my deck to Oblivion. I'm gonna shuffle it on screen as well. We're gonna do one more big shuffle. Oh my god. Okay, one more big shuffle. We're gonna cut up the deck a little bit. Alright, yeah, that should be good. Doesn't matter. Every hand is a solid hand unless you brick. Then it's not a solid hand. Alright, so I'm going to keep the deck right here. I'm going to draw my 5 in front of you guys. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We keep the deck to the side. We'll keep it into the corner. Hand reveal. Alright, nice. Oh my god. Okay, this hand is too good. So this is our starting hand, right? So for the most part, this is how you would start a hand like this. The first thing that you would declare, you are going to declare Simoon's effect, right? So you're going to activate Simoon's effect. What you're going to do is you're going to dump Chris. So you're going to dump Chris. So Chris is going to get banished. So matter of fact, let me see if I can adjust the camera real quick. Okay. Alright, that is a little bit better. Boom. Alright, so what you're going to do is, I'll keep Chris in the corner right here. You're going to dump Chris, right? So Chris now is banished. You're going to activate Simoon's effect because you don't normal summon him right away. You have to play your Black Whirlwind. So first you'll play Black Whirlwind. Boom. Black Whirlwind gets played, and that's when Chris' other effect activates. Do you want to normal summon Chris, or would you like to send him to grave? In this particular situation, I'm shuffling the deck, by the way. So I'm just shuffling the deck. So in this situation, you basically normal summon Chris. I mean, you have your Black Whirlwind. You normal summon Black Whirlwind. Activate Black Whirlwind's effect. If it doesn't get interrupted, you just add a monster that is less than 1600. Usually in a situation like this, you want to add a link fodder. So I'm adding Hermonton to hand. So Hermonton, I'm gonna make sure my hand is here. Hermonton is added to hand, right? I'm shuffling in the background, shuffling. Okay, one more time. And then on screen, I'll cut my deck so you guys can see. Okay. So boom. So now you normal summon your Samoon. Now you get an additional normal summon. So boom, you normal summon Uster. Now at this point, it don't matter if your opponent has hand traps. It don't matter. But you do want to line up your chain link properly. So you want this to be chain link 1. Black Whirlwind will definitely be chain link 2. If your opponent has any responses, like an Ash Blossom of some sorts, then they have to obviously hit my Black Whirlwind, so my Samoon is protected. If they have something more direct, like a Imperm, or they have a Effect Veiler, it don't matter too much if they negate the Uster effect, because we still get the Black Whirlwind effect anyway. So for the most part, let me show you guys my hand. My fault. Let me keep the hand in front of you, and I'm happy I actually drew the Phantom Knight card, so you guys can see the situations that you can get out of having it in your hand. So boom. So now we're going to add another Blackwing monster that has less attack than Uster, and in this time we're going to add Orochi, because like I said, we just need fodder. So boom, we're adding Orochi to hand. So we're adding Orochi to hand. Alright, and shuffling. I'm gonna cut on screen so you guys see my deck on screen, and then boom. So alright, so then the following effect of Uster, you get to special summon a level 4 lower Blackwing monster from your banish zone, so we're special summoning Chris. So alright, so this is our hand, this is our board state. So basically what you want to do, special summon your fodder. So right now, Orochi is the fodder. We're gonna link summon now. So we're gonna link summon for Y-Strix. So Y-Strix effect activates. So basically this is when we're in murky territory, because if this particular card gets hand trapped, now we kind of have to figure out and come up with a whole completely different route. But don't worry, it's again not that big of a deal. So boom, let's just say in this particular situation, getting hand trapped may hurt. It may hurt, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So cool, boom, we got Y-Strix. So Y-Strix, I'll put Y-Strix right here. Zone, you know what? I'm not gonna be too strict on zone placements, because zone placements don't matter too much. But we're gonna activate Y-Strix effect though. So Y-Strix effect states that we can special summon 1 level 4 Darkwing Beast monster from our deck in defense position, and its effects is negated. We are going to play Raider's Wing. So Raider's Wing is the card we are going to play, right? So now this is where we get rid of the Phantom Knight card. So the thing about this card that's very powerful, Raider's Wing, is because because Silent Boots, you can't do this with Cloak. Like I said, Cloak, no, but Silent Boots, yes. So with Silent Boots, because right now, technically Raider's Wing counts as a Raid Raptor and Phantom Knight monster, you can special summon Silent Boots. You can actually special summon the Silent Boots. So now what we can potentially do is we're going to link summon. I mean, whoa, I said link summon? My fault. We're going to exceed Shokan. So we're gonna exceed for 4 Strix. Again, if we do get hand trapped, it's not the end of the world. So basically, if it is successful, we're going to set our graveyard is this is our graveyard so far, so keep that in mind. So we just put Raider's Wing in the graveyard, and we're gonna activate Force Strix effect to add a monster now. So we can add a level 4 dark monster from deck to hand. So now basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to add our protection card. So we're gonna actually add Perfection. In this situation, just so I let you guys know, if you don't open with a Silent Boots, usually we would go for a Strangle Lanius, or I said Strangle. We'll go for a Singing Lanius just so we get another body to special summon. But because we have Silent Boots, he's not necessarily like he's not mandatory, or he's not really needed. Not as if he's mandatory, but he's not needed in this situation. So I'm shuffling my deck one more time. Shuffling my deck one more time. All right. So now we have our Bird of... Let me show you guys my hand. We have our Bird of Perfection in hand. So now, because Force Strix effect wasn't negated, basically, even if it was, and this is why this card needs to be the card that's negated. So, depending on what card negates your Exceed card, like, depending on what card negates Force Strix, you can still trigger your Y Strix effect, because the card states that if a card activates its effect, I can set one. So it doesn't mean, like, if you stop me from using the effect, like with the Ash Blossom or something like that, it still triggers my Y Strix effect, so I can still use my Y Strix effect. I believe that's how it works, because it says activated if one of my cards activates its effect. So, but my Exceed Raid Raptor card activates its effect. So we're not going to overcomplicate it. Basically, if the effect goes through, or if the effect isn't negated, then pretty much you can just activate Y Strix effect to set one rank up card from deck to field. In this situation, you're gonna want to set your other rank up Magic Force, the Phantom Knight. So this card is set. That's a set card right there. All right. So that being said, now you have the rank up card set, you have another rank up card in hand, and you have your Bird of Perfection, right? So now what we're basically going to do is we're going to now Exceed. So now Silent Boots and Y Strix is engraved. You're gonna I said Exceed. You're gonna link summon. Jeez, why is all my summonings off? You're going to link summon for Rusty Bardiche. You're now gonna link summon for Rusty Bardiche. You're gonna activate Rusty Bardiche's effect, or you can activate Silent Boots effect. The actual order don't matter at all. It might matter if you want to chain block. So Ancient is engrave, and now we also are going to set our negate. So this is where we're getting to the portion of the duel where we're setting negates now. So we're setting, doesn't matter where you set it, just you don't want to set it in the same line. I said line. You don't want to set it in the same column as a goddamn imperm. So be careful. So there's that. So now this is your Fog Blade. This is going to be your rank up spell. And now this is your board. So what you're going to do now is you have these two cards. So basically you can banish. So we're banishing Ancient. We're going to banish Ancient. Oh my God. You gotta love outdoorsy traffic. You're going to banish Ancient for, boom, the rank up Magic Launch. You're going to add that to hand. So you're going to add that card to hand. All right, so we just added that card to hand. So now, next play is we're going to detach the Uster, not for Force Strix effect, but we're going to get back Raider's Wing. So we're going to get back Raider's Wing, and what we're going to do next, because remember, this is our hand, right? Because we special slash or normal summon the Wing Beast monster, we're going to reveal this card. So Bird of Perfection gets revealed to my opponent. Activate its effect to normal summon a Samorsh card from hand. When it's normal summon, activate its effect to send from deck another copy of it to grave. And then I get to add Land of Samorsh to hand, right? So boom. So now this is our field so far. So next thing that we're going to do is we're going to play this in the field spell zone. We're going to play this in the field spell zone. And now, remember, this is our hand. It don't really matter too much because we do get the added benefit of normal summoning again. If you want to, you can. We still do technically have Harmonton. We just don't have any targets to add because of Black Whirlwind. But if this was any other monster, we can normal summon it with the effect of Lands of Samorsh to add another card to hand. But for right now, we're just not going to worry about that. So what we are going to do, though, is it's that time that we activate Rank Up Magic Force. So again, what Rank Up Magic Force does is I can target a rank monster that I control, banish dark monsters from my graveyard up to the new rank monster I want to special summon with the combined total of the cards I banish and the card I control, the Dark Exceed monster I control. So we're going to special summon a rank 7. So what we're going to do, we're banishing 1. The cards you banish don't matter too much. So we're banishing 1, we're banishing 2, and then we're banishing 3. So those 3 cards are now banished. We're going to go into our extra deck, and we're going to get Arsenal Falcon. So now Force Strix is going to be used for Arsenal Falcon. And now the field spell is right here, is in the corner, is definitely in the corner. So right now, basically, again, this is our board. Rusty is still here. Arsenal Falcon is still here. Raider Wing is still there. And then we have still Simoon on board. And then we also have Bird of Perfection. So what we're going to do now is... Oh, and then obviously this card goes to grave. It was in my hand. So this is our hand currently. Our hand currently, right? So then you're going to activate Arsenal Falcon's effect just to special summon a level 4 or lower Wing Beast monster. So right now what you could basically do is... You know what's crazy? I feel like this is the only test duel that we really need. So we're going to special summon Zephros in defense mode. And now everything lines up for your boss monsters to pretty much come out and for follow-up. So I'm going to explain. Right now I'm just shuffling the deck. Okay, so my fault. I took out Fogblade. This is my hand. My hand is right here. Boom. So this is our hand right here. And you guys have to see how insane this is, actually. So right now, what we're going to do next, because remember the effect of Raider's Wing. If this card leaves the field, it has to get banished. But to prevent that, basically what you can do, you can link, or I'm using the wrong summons, bruh. You can exceed for your second Force Strix, right? And mind you, Force Strix is once per turn, but it's not once per turn per copy. So regardless, it's not once per turn for the name of the card. It's just once per turn. So like this is a new copy technically of Force Strix, so we can use the effect. We're going to dump Raider's Wing in the graveyard, right? Activate the effect, and this is where the follow-up and your Savage Dragon comes in. You know what? Maybe we only really need the one test duel, bruh. So, boom. Uster. Add Uster to hand. You'll understand why. For follow-up. So, I'm going to show you guys my hand and graveyard one more time. So, this is my hand. Boom. We have Uster, we have Harmonton, and we have the 2 rank-up cards. Oh my god. And I'm pretty sure you guys can tell through the video. Don't worry, the desk size will be increased. So you guys can see everything a bit better and everything comes out a bit more smoothly. But that was my hand, and this is my graveyard. We have Raider's Wing, Force Strix, we have Rank Up Magic, we have Y Strix, and then Silent Boots is still here, and we have Uster. So, damn, maybe we only need one test hand. This hand is good. This is showing you guys, like, full potential. Like, this is full potential of the deck right now. So, all right. So, remember, we still haven't used Land of Samorsh effect yet. It don't really matter in this particular situation, but if we really wanted to, we could even go for full Armor Master right now. But I believe you shouldn't blow your options right now at all. But what you are going to do, this right here is your setup. This is setup right here. So lastly, your launch force, you set. And then this, at this point of your turn, you pass to your opponent. So that's pretty much it, guys. And this will solidify you game. Like, you won. You basically won. Your opponent cannot really do anything to you. Because at this point, on your opponent's, like, on any of your opponent's plays, in response to a play, because remember, rank up, this is a quick spell. So in response to your opponent's play, boom, you activate Rank Up Launch Force. You target your Arsenal Falcon, because what Rank Up Launch Force does is you can target a Dark Exceed monster you control with no materials and special summon a Dark Exceed monster 1 rank higher. So we have level 7, boom. We go for Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga negates everything on board. Kali Yuga negate. Oh, I'm sorry. This right here is getting sent to the graveyard, and we take 1,000 for that. So that's Simoon's effect. So at the end of the turn, we lose Black Whirlwind, and we take 1,000. So right now, Launch Force is also going to become a material for Kali Yuga as well. So boom. This is how it looks like so far. We have Kali Yuga, we have Force Strix, we have Rusty, we have Simoon, and we have Bird of Perfection. You cannot use Rusty effect with Kali Yuga because Kali Yuga negates everything on board. So now anything your opponent does, it gets negated, right? Boom. So now they set back row pass, it don't matter. So if they set back row, basically what we're going to do, we're going to detach one from Kali Yuga, pop their back row. If they don't set back row and they just set a monster, it is absolutely fine. So for the most part, what's going to happen now is our hand is pure follow-up. Even if they normal summon a monster, don't matter, it's going to get negated. But right now, our hand is absolutely 100% pure follow-up. So first things first, basically what we can do is we have our Kali Yuga on board, and obviously we have our Force Strix, right? So basically, you can use your Force Strix. You can use your Force Strix effect, right? So then you can add whatever bullshit Blackwing monster that you want. You can even add Strangolanius. Add Strangolanius to hand, right? It's a level 4 Dark Wing Beast monster. Don't matter, right? So now we're in a situation where it's just like, oh, but look at our board. Like, technically speaking, the spaces is all messed up. No, it's not. So basically, you can activate Zephros effect, bounce Simoon back to hand, special summon Zephros, and then, boom. Look at your board state now. Zephros, okay, I have to probably have the cards overlap, but basically, Zephros is in this zone next to Bird of Perfection, right? So now you have a Zephros, and then you also have your Bird of Perfection, right? So, next thing. Your Fog Blade, even if you use it against your opponent, do not worry. We can get rid of that monster that we can't attack into. So, now, the next thing that we're going to do, Kali Yuga, it having back row destruction don't mean nothing to us at this point in time. So what we're going to do is this. Boom. We're going to special summon Raider's Wing, and then we're going to Exceed Summon. We're going to Exceed Summon with our Zephros, right? Boom. What we're going to do is we're going to Exceed Summon for Arc Rebellion Exceed Dragon. So then we activate Rusty Effect. We pop the monster that is attached with Fog Blade. We pop the monster, it gets sent to grave. If it has a graveyard effect, don't worry too much. You are still good. It could be to add. If it is to special summon, do not worry too much. Okay, so next what we're going to do, because now at this point it don't matter too much. Basically what you're going to do is rank up, because at this point in time we don't have any. We have synchro monsters we can use, but at this point in time with this setup, you can target your Rebellion Dragon and then go into your extra deck one more time. At this point in time, you cannot special summon anything besides Exceed monsters. And what you're going to do is go for Requiem. So now your Requiem has 3 negates. Your Requiem has officially 3 negates. Lastly, if you guys wanted to as well, if you wanted more negates, just in case if you couldn't close the game. But for the most part, the game is damn near closed. So the game is over. The game is over. But if you wanted a negate, you also, before you activated your rank up and before you got out Requiem, right? Let's say you save your Requiem. If you wanted to, you could definitely have normal summon your Uster. So your Uster is just in the second zone next to Bird of Perfection. The camera's not picking up the zone, but it's basically this card would be in the final zone, the free zone that you have available. You would normal summon, and then you would synchro first. This, the field spell now is officially a dead card. You would synchro summon for your negate. So now you have a negate. Activate effect. Now what you could basically do is attach your Strix to Savage Dragon. Now officially it gains half of the attack of the attached monster, and then it gets 2 negates, once per turn per negate. So now this is your hand again, right? Basically now you target, you banish a monster. You could banish a dark monster. It could be anything. It could be your it could be your Bird of Perfection. I would say banish Bird of Perfection. Banish Bird of Perfection. And then, boom. You get out Requiem. And this should be enough to halt anything. Anything. If you want to be real safe, before you you can wait to activate Rusty's effect. If you think that monster has a follow-up or it has a graveyard effect, you can wait to activate Rusty effect, get out Savage Dragon first so you have the negate ready, and then get out your Requiem so you have 3 more monster negates if you need it, and then game. Come on, 35, 3,000, and then this is 3,700. That's game. That's game. That is GG. Best Blackwing deck. Best Blackwing deck ever. I'm not saying that this deck doesn't brick. I'm not saying that a hand trap or a well-placed hand trap doesn't stun the deck in its entirety. I am going to go to locals. I am going to potentially and try to take videos and stuff like that. I'll try my best. But for the most part, guys, like, this deck is insane. Like, this deck is insane. I just wanted to showcase it. I definitely want to have it up in the channel. And I just want to know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about the deck profile. And definitely let me know what you guys feel about the deck. Also, let me know what some of the decks you guys are playing at your locals, or what you guys play in a Master Duel. Also, speaking of Master Duel, if any of you guys want to add me, if any of you guys want to have some duels and stuff like that, my Master Duel account and information will definitely be on the screen as you see right now. And yeah, this is this is definitely like, this is I was here for a minute. Like, the stutter should say it all. I was here for a minute, really breaking down this deck. But I think the one test duel was good enough, because it shows you how you're able to maneuver some of your dead hands. But if you guys have any questions, definitely leave your questions down below. This deck is pretty powerful when it gets started, and then when it gets started, you really can't stop it unless you have like 3 hand traps. But if you have 3 or 4 hand traps, that's damn near your whole hand. So like if you can't get any type of like mileage off of the 1 card left in your hand, it's pretty much GG. But guys, I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Again, please let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Also, if you guys want to duel me in Master Duels, or you just want to chill in Master Duels, definitely the information will be up. If you guys want to have conversations and talk with me and just have a chill time and stuff like that, you could definitely join the Discord. The Discord information will be down below. It is open for all and anybody that's willing to join and be a part of the community. But guys, I'll catch you guys later, and peace.